プライムビデオが9月2日から配信を開始するロード・オブ・ザ・リング力の指輪。シーズン1だけで4億6500万ドルが投じられた作品のワールドプレミアに行ってきました。その総制作責任者である J.D.ペイン氏に作品について伺っています。この作品では映画を極めた国ヌーメノールが初の映像化ですよね。さらに小説に登場しない新キャラクターも追加されています。さまざまな対立と共闘、それに社会の分断も描かれるようなんですが、現代にも通じるテーマ性を感じるんですけれども、どのようにしてこの物語を構築しようとしましたか
？Yes, so Numenor shows the divisions between two different groups, a group called the Kingsmen and a group called the Faithful. The Faithful are traditionalists who believe in the elven ways that were part of what founded the island, and the Kingsmen are sort of looking towards breaking away from the elves and having sort of their own kingdom. And so ultimately it develops into these two factions that cease to really be able to communicate well with each other, start to persecute each other. Eventually it leads to war and strife and division in the society. And we see this in our world in all kinds of different ways, within our own communities, within our own countries. And it's very difficult and very painful for people when they cease to be able to communicate with each other and to dialogue. And I think that the story of Numenor is a warning story for all of us, because ultimately it's the greatest society that Tolkien ever created. It's the pinnacle of human achievement. But even a society that's that powerful and that strong crumbles when it divides into factionalism and people lose the ability to communicate with each other.
I see. 現代社会にも通じる普遍的なテーマが隠れているということですよね。今回の番組ではトールキンの物語に新しいキャラクターを追加していますけれども、彼らは物語の中でどのような影響を与えていくんでしょう？
So Tolkien wrote a letter to a friend named Milton Waldman. He was wrote that he wanted to create an interconnected series of myths that still leaved room for other minds and hands, wielding paint and music and drama. He wanted people to take up Middle-earth after he had gone and to keep on expanding it. So we feel that we are taking up the professor on his wishes. So he would sometimes leave clues about a society. For example, the Harfoots. He wrote that they were bootless and beardless and a little darker of skin than some of the other branches of hobbits. And so we said he talked about their wandering days, being migrants. So we thought that's a fascinating culture to go explore. So then we went and sort of said, well, what kinds of characters would live in those cultures? So we tried to take places that Tolkien had sort of sketched and given us an idea about, and then go deeper and say, well, tried to people it with stories that felt like they fit in Middle-earth.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Well, 指輪物語はよく知られている映画版のロード・オブ・ザ・リングだけではなくて、非常に多くの物語が作られているわけですけれども、その中で第2期を選んだその理由というのは何だったんでしょう？これどこがJ.D. ペインさん気に入ったんでしょうか？教えてください。
Why this story?
Yeah.
Well, we felt like this was one of the great untold stories in Tolkien. I mean, he created 9,000 years of history. And when Amazon bought the rights, they bought that whole long period. So we could have told a story in any part of Middle-earth's history. But we felt that the Second Age was a really special time. I mean, it's the story of the forging of the Rings of Power, the rise of the Dark Lord Sauron, the fall of Numenor, and then the last alliance of elves and men. And when we pitched that story to Amazon, they got really excited because they felt like that was a story that could be a really, really big story. So for us, we just felt like it was a story that whose time had come. And I also would actually like to say to that, that you don't need to have ever known anything about Tolkien to be able to watch our show. Like, if you've never read the books, if you've never seen the movies, if you've never even worn a ring before, then you can still come to our show completely fresh, and hopefully the human drama will draw you in, and you'll learn what you need to learn to enjoy it.
完結までにどれぐらいのエピソードを作るんですか？
There will be 50 hours.
50 hours.
50 hours, yeah. So the first season is 8 hours long, so we'll do enough after that to get to 50 hours.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Is it fixed?
Is it planned in advance? Yeah. So we know a lot of the big points of what we're going to do, and we know, for example, what the last shot of the show is going to be. We know sort of how some of these big events, like the fall of Numenor, will happen. But then there's also room for a lot of discovery in between as we are going from one story to the next.
主に作品の背景について伺ってきましたが、映像エンターテインメントとして考えた時の見どころについて教えてください。
The highlight of the first season?
Yeah.
Oh, that's tough. There's a lot of really exciting moments. I think people are going to have to watch it to pick their own. But you know, for me in the pilot, and I don't think I'm spoiling anything. There's a sequence toward the end of the pilot when some characters are on a boat heading to a very special place, and there are some visuals there that I think our visual effects team and our production design team did a really amazing job designing. I think it's a really special sequence.
最後に日本の皆さんにメッセージをお願いいたします。
I really hope that you are able to tune in to watch The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. It's something that me and thousands of other collaborators working together on this have put our hearts and our souls into. It has the deepest feelings of our souls in this production, and we hope that it will touch you and that you will enjoy it as well.
Thank you.
Arigato.
Thank you very much, J.D.
Thank you. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.